Alright, so the day has come, if my phone will focus. Come on, camera. So today is the day where I will be swapping the guts from this Mazda or Ford Probe GT or Ford Probe LX V6 tranny, which has longer gears and final drive, into this 89 Probe GT trans that was actually in a Mazda 626 GT Turbo I built a long time ago and then parted out. But this has got the normal H series first gen GD Mazda gearing in it. This one's got the longer gearing and final drive. So I'm going to pull the gear sets and everything out of this one, put it into this one, because this is the right case. This is the V6 case, which obviously is different and will not work. They're similar, but not close enough, because the bell housing pattern for the Vulcan V6 is different. So I will be basically just taking the good gearing and final drive out of this one and putting it into a GT case. And then I've got to take the diff out of this one and cut the ring gear off of it at work, and then put it on the M Factory LSD that will be going in here from the trans that's in my 89 Pro GT right now. And the reasoning for this is because recently in my previous part of this video, it locked me in third gear. It will not come out of third gear. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I sheared a piece of third or fourth gear off and it got stuck under the shift selector, but I don't think it's a shift gate. But I'm gonna get started on these and get some stuff swapped over. Alright, got the fifth reverse cluster cover off, and both of these trannies are in excellent shape, so this will make a good backup stock gear set. And I'll keep the ring gear that's already cut off, that's on my stock diff ring gear that's on my M Factory. This diff will be kept as a spare ring gear and spider gears for my 626 tranny, which still has stock diff in it. But these are, they spin freely in neutral, nice and tight. Spin freely in neutral, nice and tight. No bearing play, no incorrectly torqued fifth reverse nuts on there. So yeah, now we'll be knocking these tabs back and taking off the gear sets on the outside, along with the fifth reverse shift fork, which you have to knock this little roll pin out here, and then that whole assembly, once the nuts are off and the roll pin's out, both of these come off. So that's the next step for both of these. Alright, so we are tearing apart the fifth reverse gear cluster cover. This one was actually the tightest one I've ever dealt with, because this tranny's never been separated before. Whereas that one I built a few years back for a friend of mine, and it was easy to get the fifth and reverse cluster off. They're sitting on the table right there. This one's sitting right here. And we actually have to use a bearing puller on this bottom gear because it's on there. So getting it back on, I'll probably have to use some heat, which is a good sign. I like that when an H series is that tight. Alright, so the GT trans is apart, diffs out, gear sets out, shift forks and shift rails are out, fifth gear cluster and everything's out. So now what I have to do is knock the bearing races out of this guy. I've got to take the shift selector out of this guy. You can see that there, which goes to the shift selector out here. I got to take that out and make sure there's no metal under it, so I don't have the same problem I'm having with my current trans. Spider gears on this GT stock diff are starting to chip and break like they usually do. The ones on the LX V6 trans are flawless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those spider gears and put them into this to have a good factory differential, so that if I break the spider gears in my 626, I have a brand new one ready to go in, because I'm not buying an LSD for that one. And then the ring gear off of this one, which matches the bigger or the longer final drive of the LX versus the GT trans, I'm going to cut that ring gear off and bolt it to my M Factory. And then this whole gear set here from the LX V6 is getting swapped into this case with the LX ring gear on the M Factory, so that I can just bolt it into my probe. That'll give me a top speed of 184 miles an hour at 6,500 RPM, and I rev to about 68. So it should be in the 186 to 190 range of actual theoretical top speed, although it won't have the power to go that fast, nor would I ever want to. But yep, these are done. Just need to get my trans out of my red probe, rip it apart, and then pull the M Factory LSD out of it. And then I'll get that tranny unstuck out of gear. And then put this stock differential with the nice spider gears in it, put that back together and have that as a spare trans for my 626. And I have a brand new 3rd and 4th gear shift fork somewheres in here. At least it was. Right there. So I have a brand new OEM Mazda 3rd and 4th gear shift fork for that tranny right there. So no bent shift fork or anything like that. It'll get a brand new shift fork. Actually, it'll be this one over here. Although I think I'm going to keep it because, or keep it in the GT trans that I rebuild for the 626, because the one that's coming out of the probe has a bent 3rd, 4th gear shift fork. I bend gears too hard. This one is an LXV6 trans, so it's not abused. Everything is beautiful. The synchros all look beautiful. All got the nice points on them still. They're not all flat and rounded off or anything weird. Still nice and pointy. The bearings all look good. The gears all look good. So, I will be taking those, swapping them directly into this trans with the M Factory, putting that back together, and that'll be the one that goes in the probe. And then the gear set out of this one will be a spare for either car. And then the trans that's in my probe will be getting a stock diff put back in it with the guts from this one and the case of this one. So these gears are chipped on this one. I'm going to take them out of this differential, put them into this differential. That will go into that trans, and I'll have a good completely stock trans again, except for the synchros. And then this will be going into this case with the M Factory, which will be going into the red probe. So sorry if this was long-winded. Just wanted everybody to know what was going on. And yeah, here pretty soon the probe should be back going with a new engine and tranny and Hall set HX35. So stay tuned.